Hey everybody, I hope you're having a good day. So today I wanted to just briefly go over the value that I get out of spreadsheets in this game. I know that Alliance War has been sort of coined spreadsheet wars, and they have got sort of a negative connotation. But in general, I've really enjoyed the use of spreadsheets in mcoc, and I use them a lot to make decisions, because when you're in the game and you see a crystal and you're wondering whether you should get it or not, or whether or not you should rank up a certain champion, etc. A lot of times you are being kind of swayed by sort of emotional decisions in the moment, and you're not really thinking with a clear head, and also you're not taking into account all of the possibilities, because in this game of RNG, so many possibilities can happen, and oftentimes the most likely scenario is not the one that you're hoping for. So just at least for me, when I saw the new featured crystal, yes, I thought the pool looked good. I also thought there was some really bad champions in there, and I got to thinking, you know what, the current pool is a lot better than people think it is, and I'd like to do a little comparison on whether or not, with my roster, the new crystal is worth it, or should I go all out? Because I do have a 455 Hood, and as you can see here, Hood is in the old crystal, and I could dupe him, and that would actually bump my prestige up if I duped my Hood. And then there's other champions in here that I'd like to dupe, like Bishop. There's champs I'd like to dupe, like Proxima Midnight. So, you know, it's very hard. So I have to be sort of unbiased when it comes to how I'm going to rate each assigned value here. So what I'm going to do is list all the champions and say, what is the value of me pulling this champion out of the crystal? What do I get out of it? And I just pick 1 through 5 arbitrarily. I could do 1 through 10 to make it more specific, but 5 was enough for me, because I'd say 0 is a dupe of an awakened arena champ. So this is a champ I never plan on taking past 345. They're already awakened, and it's just another dupe. So that gives absolutely no value to me whatsoever in the game at the moment. A first dupe, besides 6-star shards, I guess, a first dupe of an arena champ is not, there's not no value in it. First of all, you get more arena points just from the higher PI, and also it's just kind of nice to see all those silver stars. So I've given that a value of 1. I've given a value of 2 to a new arena champ. Now this might be considered a value of 3, but I'm going to give it a value of 2 just because I'm currently kind of swamped in the arena. More arena champs is useful, but it's not going to make a huge difference in the amount of grinding I'm able to do. So a value of 3 has been given to a new or first dupe of a usable champion. These are champions like, let's see, for example, in here, I've given that to Hela. She's very high damage output. Luke Cage, you know, I can get these people to 345, Guillotine, and actually make use of them in the game somewhere. Yondu, some maybe high utility champions or high damage champions that you might consider taking to 455 if you had extra resources, but that maybe I personally wouldn't. So this is a very subjective list, obviously, and if you're going to do something similar, I also recommend being very subjective. You know, tailor this to your roster. I've given a value of 4 to a new or first dupe of a high tier champion. That's something like Red Hulk in my book, Ghost Rider, Magic, high dupe. Or high tier, you could say that Magic is obviously the top tier, but not for me, because I can't even get her to 455. I don't have the resources, right? So I have to be extremely picky with my resources here. And then I've given a 5 to a new or first dupe of top tier. And actually, for me, top tier basically only means the featured champions. And I know they're not all top tier, but if you're opening featured hero crystals, the 15k crystals, it's not because you're trying to get the best champion in the game. It's because you want the new champions, and I like the new ones. I don't know why. New is always better, as Barney Stinson once said, and I prefer the new ones. They're just so much more fun to play. So in my book, all of the new champions, no matter how bad they are given a value of 5. So I've also given my boy Hyperion a value of 5, just because I love Hyperion so much. And I don't know if there's any other 5 in there that's already in the game besides Hyperion there. Yeah, everybody else is, the only other 5s are the new ones. So, okay, what you do is you just assign those values. I've gotten this list of champions right here, pick from a list, and those are actually provided courtesy of the collector bot that I think JJW over at the UMCOC podcast that he manages. So I really love that bot. I'm starting to get used to the commands a little bit more. But anyway, the collector provided me a list of champions. I select from the champions based on what the crystal is, and the value is calculated right here. So this is just a simple calculation. The new one gives me a value of 2.79, while the old one gives me 2.33. It's a lot closer than you might have thought, just because I haven't gotten and duped all of the featured champions there. I still don't have Hulk, Ragnarok, or Killmonger. I could inflate this by saying, look, my number one priority right now is prestige, and I want the hood to have a value of 8, and look how that gets it a little bit closer. But let's just say for these purposes, that's not going to happen, because I've thought about this, and basically I'm going to go with the new crystal. So when that time comes, pretty soon, I'm going to be opening up. I think it's just a few days from now. I'll do an opening, maybe even a live opening. We'll see. And we'll open up some featured hero crystals. My goal, my number one pull out of that is actually going to be Captain America Infinity War for his synergies. I want to take him to war to be on my synergy team with Vision. He's going to be a power control monster with Captain America on the team. So yeah, my number 2 picks are obviously going to be Corvus and Domino. I'd love to naturally dupe them and save those Awakening gems, but we'll see what happens. After an initial opening, I might have to switch back to the basic. Now you might be asking, how is it possible to compare the basic hero crystal to this? And it is. It just takes a lot more work, obviously, because there's like 100 champions. You have to assign values. You have to keep it update with your roster. I'm really interested in maybe working with someone. Not right now. I don't have the time for it, but I know you can manage rosters in like Clan HQ, and I know you can manage them via the collector bot as well. If there's some sort of way we can do the calculation of value for crystals and stuff based on your roster, that would be very, very cool. But anyway, this is just half the video. I wanted to talk a lot as well about Alliance War data here. So this is the way I'm displaying data now. This is how I'm getting the data that I'm going to be populating into my Alliance War videos. Now, every single time I do a fight in Alliance War, I actually am, let's see here, if I can go over here, I'm going to, this form is what I'm filling out. I'm personally filling out this form. I do the season, the war, just so that I can search for these later. I don't include the alliance name that we're fighting, because I think that's just taking it a little step too far, because I'll be publicizing this probably eventually, and I think people will be like, hey, that's our defense, man, that's private info. So okay, fair enough. I'm just going to get some broad statistics here. I type in the node that I'm fighting, the enemy, same list of champs via the collector bot. There's a lot of these that aren't actually in the game, like White Queen there. And then the champion I used, the result of that fight, and then the items used beforehand. And then I hit submit. So if I die, I press death, and then I probably either go in with a different champion or I use some items and I have the same fight again. So this data gets put into form responses, sorry, right there. So I actually get all of the war footage, or not war footage, all of the war data input into here, so you can see war lookup. This is just a aggregation of these columns, just so that I can have something nice and easy to look for. These are the enemies, the nodes, the result, and then the items here. So I've got a nice little thing to query from, and this is the summary. So I can go back and look at like a war. So say this first war in the preseason of 3, I had 6 fights. My kill death was 5-1. I spent 0 units, and then that's a little nice summary I can put on my thumbnail or my end screen right there. This is war number 6. That long one, I had 10 fights, 400 units spent. That's based on the items. And also, this is some this are the nodes that I fought. So I can look up node 36, and Dr. Octopus I've seen once. I've seen Iceman once, MODOK once, Medusa once. I can look up node 28. That's the mini boss. I've seen Medusa 3 times, Quake once, Sentinel once. So over time, this is going to be really useful, I think. And I was just, I wanted to make this a little bit more. Node 10, I only fought a few times here. Let's see one I fight a lot, node 11 right there. Over time, this is going to get a lot more useful because the data is going to be a lot bigger. But I thought it would be interesting if the community was, I'm not sure if I could push this to the community. This is the boss node right here. If everyone was filling this out every war, we would have thousands of data points super quickly, and it would be really cool to see. I could publish like these are the top 4 bosses, these are top 5 bosses. I've just picked 4 just because of the way my graphic works. I think it looks good with 4, but we could do anything. We could, you can have an unlimited amount. I just use queries here, to get the right results out. So you can do a ton with this, and I'm even going to be able to in the future, if I start having a little bit more diverse attack team, I'm going to be able to publish the success rates of certain champions. Like, Stark Spidey does really bad versus Medusas on this node, or Killmonger does really good versus Nightcrawlers on this node. And maybe we might be able to even find some strange sort of interactions that we we didn't really know. Like, why is Vision so good versus Spider-Man on the node 36? Like, he seems to always do really good there. And then you might say, that's because he's bleed immune, and that's a bleed node. So people are always taking Vision. There's some bias in there. But they're just analyzing the data is really fun. It's something I like to do in my free time. So I just thought I'd share that with everyone. And, if it's something that I could get a lot of, if it's something people are interested in, I could, maybe make a public copy of this, wipe it clean from my data, and then maybe adjust some of the, inputs a little bit. So, like we could probably do the season, but there's no point in logging the war. We could do something like that, and maybe we could get a lot of data. That would be pretty cool. So we'll see, but that's just a quick little video there. I wanted to talk about spreadsheets and how they can be super useful. I've recently used this one right here to decide on going for the new featured rather than the old featured, and it's going to be some pretty good crystal openings. I'm going to have to do another spreadsheet very soon to decide who to rank up to rank 5, Phoenix or Sentry, because one of those two, I love them both. I've been flipping every week. It's so hard for me to decide, so I'm going to let the spreadsheets probably decide. It's a combination of factors, including prestige, the stats, usability, and all that stuff. So I'm going to have to dive deep into that decision before I make it. We'll see what happens there. But anyway, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your Friday or a good rest of your weekend or whatever day it is that you're watching this. And we'll see you soon. Take care.